I've got a very different video for you this week because I'm leaving all these books behind and going on holiday. But when you're a bibliophile, that doesn't mean a week of rest and relaxation. It means new ground for book hunting. I've just dropped my wife and daughter at the train station, so they're going to get the train to Norfolk and I'm driving because we're going to stop off at some bookshops on the way. So we'll be starting here in Oxford and first make our way north to Cambridge and the legendary bookshop G. David, before heading north to Voewood Rare Books in Holt and finally to the Norfolk seaside town of Sheringham. I've just stopped to pick up a coffee and it is absolutely chucking it down. This is proper British summer holiday weather. Sorry, let me close the door. So not really the start I wanted. I literally got this wet just loading up the car with stuff for the holiday. So first stop is Cambridge. I'm just going to check on my sat nav now how long it thinks it's going to take us to get there. It should be about 2 hours, but I mean, let me turn you around just so you can see. It's absolutely awful out there. So it's about 20 past 12 here. Yeah, 2 hours 17 to get to Cambridge. So we should be there at about 2:30, which isn't too bad. And then it'll be 2 hours then on to Norfolk from there, if all goes well. So I'm going to hit the road and I will pick up with you guys in Cambridge. So I've finally made it to Cambridge. I've just parked up. It's still absolutely pouring down. But we're going to head to G. David in Cambridge, a great bookshop. So you'll find G. David down this passageway in the heart of Cambridge, just next to this church on my right hand side. And as I rounded this corner, I did fear the worst because I wondered if the shop was closed, but it was just the shutters down on their outside bookcases because of the rain, and we headed inside. And once we got inside, I was really like a kid in a candy store, and as you're about to see, I might have got a little bit out of control. So that was brilliant, a really successful trip. I couldn't film much in there because I was too busy buying books, but I've frankly bought far more than we can fit in the car, so I'm going to go and get the car and bring it round, and then they're going to bring out the books to me and I'll show you when we get to Norfolk. So here we have our haul from G. David in Cambridge, or at least as much of it as I can fit in one frame, and I'm just going to run through it for you quickly. They're an absolute Cambridge institution and they always have brilliant books, and I managed to spot quite a lot of things that I have customers of mine looking for. So we'll start on this end. This is beautiful. This is the first edition of Peter Pan in Kensington Gardens, published in 1906. It's a really lovely copy in its original buckram binding. And the wonderful thing about the first edition of this book is that it's illustrated by Arthur Rackham. So you have all the text of the book at the front and all of Rackham's illustrations here at the back under captioned tissue guards. Moving forward, we have a beautiful set of Milton's work. This was published in 1835 and is in absolutely beautiful bindings and actually has illustrations by Turner throughout it. Moving along, we've got another beautiful binding, this one quite plain, but on a copy of the Bible. We've got metal clasps here, and if I open them up, I can show you inside the Bible. This was printed in Oxford, and this is a late 19th or perhaps early 20th century edition of the Bible. Next to these, sticking on the bindings theme and the religious theme, we have two absolutely stunning arts and crafts bindings. You can see the design there. Some typical features of arts and crafts bindings that you'll see are these dots here, but also the geometric patterns on the boards. Very reminiscent of the work of Douglas Cockrell, who was probably the foremost arts and crafts bookbinder. Next to those, we have a beautifully decorated edition of Grimm's Household Tales, better known to us, of course, as Grimm's Fairy Tales. And this is illustrated by Walter Crane. It's not the first edition, but it's from 1893, so it was first published with Walter Crane's illustrations in this edition the year before. So you have Crane's illustrations throughout and also the beautiful decorative binding. The oldest thing that I bought is sitting here on this piece of black card, and this is it's a leaf from the Bible handwritten on vellum, and as you can see, beautifully decorated. So we've got the extra initials in blue and of course the decoration in red. So this is a Bible of the 13th century, handwritten in Latin. That's rather lovely, isn't it? As I said, 800 years old. It's by far the oldest thing I've bought. Going back here, we've got at the front, you can only see about 2/3 of it, but this is an edition of Cicero's work. You can see Ciceronis Opera in 12 volumes. And again, really very attractive, quite a diminutive edition of Cicero. And behind, much larger and more imposing, is a set of Ovid. The set of Ovid is in these 5 volumes here, and it's absolutely beautifully printed. This is a large paper copy, printed in 1825 by Pickering, and I'll show you here inside. So beautifully printed in Oxford. And also the bindings here are fabulous and still in wonderful condition. And then to round off, just out of frame, we have in matching leather bindings 3 first editions of Wittgenstein's work. And that completes the very, very satisfying first haul of the video of book hunting on holiday. And I'll move on now to our next stop, which is to one of the most beautiful houses in the area, and hopefully some fine books to discover there as well. All right, so next up we are heading over about 20 minutes from where we are here to go and see a friend of mine called Simon, who is a absolutely brilliant book dealer based in North Norfolk, and he also happens to own one of the most beautiful houses in the whole of, the county, maybe even East Anglia. So we're going to go and see what books he has and continue our book hunting over there. So this is Voewood, home of Voewood Rare Books and one of the most beautiful arts and crafts houses in the country. It was built between 1903 and 1905, and as you can see from the outside and the gardens, it's absolutely stunning. So Simon and Andrew took me on a quick tour, a bit of a history lesson here. We can see where it was featured in an American magazine at the turn of the century before we got down to some book hunting. Whenever I'm asked about rare books and book collecting and how to get started, I always tell people to go out and see books in person, go to bookshops, go to book fairs, because truly you never know what you might find when you're there. And Voewood Rare Books is absolutely a place that bears out this tactic. They have a huge array of subjects from across the centuries, all sorts of different types of books, different genres of books, different periods, different bindings. And as a result, you just have no idea what you might find and what you might walk away with. And that certainly bore out on my trip today. The books that I picked up were not books I was looking for. They were not books I was expecting to buy, but I am utterly, utterly thrilled with them. So I've just come away from Voewood Rare Books with a very nice, let me show you, box of books here. It's only 4 books, but 2 of them are absolutely massive. So it's probably best that I show you them when I get back to the house. So I've just got back to the house from Voewood, and I'll tell you a little bit about the books that I bought there. I'm just going to show you this book briefly because it's actually going to get an entire video of its own, because it's utterly extraordinary and nothing about it is as it seems. So I'm just going to set that aside for now and tell you about these 2 big boys here. This is absolutely stunning. It's an 18th century Catholic missal printed in Lisbon, and it's in this spectacularly decorated red Morocco binding. We have clasps on the end here, and if I carefully unclasp them, we can show you inside and show you some of the printing. It's printed throughout in two colours, in black and red. And you have the text, but also we have music as well. And another decorative feature that I love about it is where we look right at the giltwork on the binding, you can see these very delicately, this very delicate gophering. So just everything about this has been done to an extraordinarily high standard, and it's absolutely stunning. And last up here, another very, very attractive book, and a large book. You can see the binding here. It's an edition of Herodotus, printed in 1715. The text of Herodotus in both Latin and Greek. So that is our wonderful haul of books from Voewood. And next up, to end the video, we're going to go to one of my favourite little bookshops in the world. It's a hoarder's paradise, and you'll have to see it to believe it, so I'll take you there now. This is St Peter's Road in the Norfolk seaside town of Sheringham, and it's aptly named because the owner of this bookshop is also called Peter, and you won't have seen a bookshop so filled with books in your life. They're celebrating their 40th anniversary this year, and my first spot immediately as I walked in the door was right up here on the top shelf, so you'll see those later. As you go through the shop, you're just overwhelmed by the sheer quantity of books, and it takes ages to just take it in and get your bearings before you even start going through them and seeing what you can find. So I'm just doing here an initial scout of the different sections in the literature area of the bookshop. On my left here we have poetry and plays, and on my right we have works by female authors, and then I got stuck into the rest of the shop. So I'm back from Peter's bookshop now, so let's have a look through what I got. The first small batch of things is 4 books from the same series. They're all first editions, and they're all first editions of Bernard Cornwell's The Last Kingdom novels, which you might know, of course, either by reading them or by seeing them on Netflix. And I'm currently actually putting together a set of first editions of these for a customer, so these will come in very handy. Peter's shop is great for more 20th century books. We've seen some much older books in this video, and sticking to that theme, even moving into the 21st, the next couple of books are 2 Robin Hobb first editions. I have a wonderful customer and collector and friend of mine who is interested in Robin Hobb and is collecting Robin Hobb first editions. To be honest, off the top of my head, in the bookshop, I didn't know if they had either of these, but I picked them up anyway, and if not, of course, Robin Hobb's fancy books, loved and read and collected by so many people that I'm sure there'll be some interest there. And then the final book, we've gone mainly fantasy here. I know these are kind of historical fiction and the Robin Hobb's are fantasy, but we have a Wheel of Time first edition. This is book 12 of the Wheel of Time, The Gathering Storm. The Amazon series so far has only got through the first 2 books. This is one of the novels that actually had to be finished by Brandon Sanderson because Robert Jordan passed away before he could complete the series. So we have the first issue of The Gathering Storm, which is, as I say, book 12 of The Wheel of Time. And that lovely little batch of fantasy and historical fiction concludes the book haul for this video. And it also concludes the work that I've sneakily been doing while I've been on holiday. So for the rest of the holiday, I can enjoy the wonderful Norfolk seaside, and I'll see you all next week.